lovely southern Florida weather. You know what I mean? It's been crazy down here in Fort Myers, Collier County, and all that today, off and on. But that's why we choose to live here because it's normal. Welcome to the show. Feel free to share the stream. We got Talissa in the background right now, so we're going to be bringing on her here in a little bit. So let me get a few things done. There we go. I just want to get the hey, Mr. Turner. Good evening, sir. Ready. All right. It's been broadcast and we're live. Please share the show. Uh, no, I don't want Twitter. Talisa, let Jim know if he can't find it. But hey, David, welcome to the show, sir. So we got some cool events coming up. Let me pull them up. Roy and Linda, Roy Hudson just sent this to me. Captain J.J. Dickerson Camp 1387 is proud to announce that 2023 Florida Premier Lee Jackson Dinner and Southern Heritage Celebration. 6 p.m. Saturday, January the 7th. They're oh man, this is a big dog coming into town. They will have our commander in chief, Jason Boshears, in town. Oh man, Roy's getting in the big dogs now. If you need more information on where to sign up, if you want to go to that thing, it's on our page. You can copy that, print that out. There is an admission fee and all that, so it should be a good dinner and a good talk with Jason Boshears. Plus, seeing my brothers and sisters, not only with the OCR, UDC, and SCV as well. So that looks like a cool event coming up. That's in January. Uh, hey, Linda, we just talking about you and Roy. Your celebration, January 7th. So, besides that, the Florida division is having an event. Lee Jackson Celebration Dinner, Sunday, January 15th, next year at 5 p.m. Hey, Jim. Welcome to the show, sir. Aubrey, oh, Talisa, there you are. For a second there, I thought you disconnected. Talisa's in the background. I'll be bringing her on in a little bit. Another fun event that's coming on. November 26th, Leon Arthur will be having his annual Christmas party celebration. November 26th, Arcadia. Arcadia at the VFW. If you need more information on that, just send me a message. I'll get you the address, all that stuff. There should be a mechanized cavalry. If you're in the Florida mechanized cavalry, you will be getting a mail about that when we're close to the date. Keep in mind, I'm trying to find it. I know I had it. I posted it. And I know Roy has a ride coming up in September. I posted information about it on our page. If you're looking for a nice motorcycle ride, it's going to take about 3 hours. Hey Kim, welcome to the show. Take about 3 hours. Looks like a fun ride. Unfortunately, I don't have a motorcycle, but I might be there. I got a new attachment to my truck that's can have a flagpole on back and flying the Robert E. Lee flag or any other flag I choose. I choose, not our government chooses. I choose freedom, right, boys and girls? Up, found it. Mechanized cavalry ride will be September 17th. It will be 150 miles. Yeah, 150 miles long. Takes about 3 hours to complete. If you need more information on that, I got it posted on the on Look Around Southwest Florida page. So that's what I said, boys and girls. The last time I was on camps, different chapters, SCV, OCR, UDCs getting set up for this fall and winter to get active, get our word out there that we're here, we're in charge, and we're not going away. All right, let's bring Talissa on. There she is. How
Hey
y'all?
guys, how are y'all? Glad to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
Not a problem. Glad to be glad you can be on.
Oh, so yeah, a lot of rain today. But everything's going good. It's just like Florida, rains for 5 minutes and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what we you know eh, most everybody in the chat is familiar with the SCV. But do people know we got a subsidiary? Our lovely ladies, our wives, our girlfriends, stuff like that can join. You don't have to have the heritage to join. It's called the Order of the Confederate Rose. Take it
right.
around. Take it away. Tell them what the
Ah,
OCR does.
well, thank you. Well, I'm Talissa Wilson, and thanks for being here tonight. I am a life member of the Order of Confederate Rose, and I don't have any lineage, but I do love history and I do love this group. It's like a second family to me. I'm the president of the Sons of Confederate Veterans Ladies Chapter, Laura Radcliffe, Chapter 19 here in Fort Pierce. The gentleman's camp is 1595, Private George W. Thomas. And I am also a Black Rose. And that's another thing we can get into another time. But I've been a member for going on 9 years. I have really enjoyed doing it. If people want to reenact, if they want to join to help with the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Order of Confederate Rose, we have applications. We are great. We're nonprofit, we're non political, we're non racial. So we really want to have more in our family because we need to keep the history alive and the heritage is that. And I'm enjoying every time I get a chance to do any of these events and to talk to people and let them know what's going on. Well, the Order of Confederate Rose was started in Alabama, and I say 1993, I believe it was. In yeah, 93 in Alabama. And one of our past presidents of the chapter one, from the South Florida area, Linda O'Neill, she liked everything she saw, and she started the Florida Society Order Confederate Rose, February 2002. So they started a legacy program. They have all sorts of information, but it spread around to all different states. We have, I believe, 12 to 13 states that now has the Order of Confederate Rose in them. We go around and we participate in year-round events, sometimes 6 months to a year, but we enjoy, getting the history out. And if you with the vibrant and active society all over, we are participating with our roses, which is the ladies. We also have the thorns, which are the gentlemen. If you want to join with your wife with the Order Confederate Rose, you can. If you want your children, they're rosebuds. And it's only $20 a year or $150 for a life member. And we just enjoy doing um you name it, we try it, we because we want to get the name out there. We do Fourth of July parades, Christmas parades. We do different gun show events. We do festivals. uh, there's one of the events that you can find is the Florida Reenactors online, all one word, .org, or on Facebook, and that shows the events for the year. So, and then the Order Confederate Rose right now is connected with the Sons of Confederate Veterans, which is the ocr.flscv.org. And that is how you get the application and more information about our organization. The Sons of Confederate Veterans are a nonprofit organization. The Order of Confederate Roses are not. So we're able to help them out with our bake sales, our donations, raffles, and we just, you can just see the love of this family. We have absolutely ages. We have small children all the way up to older, you know, I'd say I'm second generation older, but it's one that we want to take and have the next step to bring more people into our family. And if you have the want of history, or actually the best part is to keep heritage alive. The Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Order of Confederate Rose, we want to keep history perfect. We want it told the right. We don't want to stray from anything. We try and stay as much information. If we don't know it, we'll tell you. I'm not fully knowledgeable about it, but I can find somebody that could. So let me get your name, your email, your phone number, and I'll get you that information. I'll get you to the people that will. Any of our members, all the Order of Confederate Rose, Florida Society, Alabama, Mississippi, Delaware, you there is just so much. Texas is another one. And we really want to excite everybody about history and our heritage and their heritage, because we don't want it erased, because that is not the way America's supposed to be. That's not how our lives are supposed to be. So this is what I'm passionate about, and I think everybody else is too. And I want family to come and join us, because we have meetings. We have the Sam Davis camp where kids go to learn how to handle a cannon, how to camp, how to do all sorts of nice information. And any one of us can get you that information. We have what you call, just drew a blank. I'm just rearing up my little hand. My little hamster's going up there, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, slow down, woman. So I just, I really enjoy it. And I am actually a past Florida Society historian. I did it for several years. I enjoyed it. We kept up with everything to keep the timelines to what was done that year by each chapter. I have had stepped down, and Mary McPherson is our newly elected historian for Florida Society. Um, and a whoop whoop to her. She won first place on the state scrapbook, and it worked really nice for her first one. And I'm so proud of her. But like I said, if you want to be an Order of Confederate Rose, you can be a rose, you can be a thorn, you can be a rosebud. Family is this group, these men, these women. We are like a family. We help each other out. We give each other pats on the back to encourage. We're there in good times and bad times. So it's what else can you ask for? You know?
Talisa, I got a question from David Pope.
Okay.
Are there members wait, are there members at large of the OCR? What?
Um, yes, we have quite a bit. At large is meaning quantity of people. Because there's some chapters that have a lot of women in it, and there's some chapters like mine that has 12. There's a few that an or chapter to be established with an SEV, you have to have 7 members so that you have a voting for any political, non-political, our organization bylaws and questions of things like that. So you have the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, just like any organization to keep up with your information so that we have everybody updated birthdays, anniversaries, when you joined, when your sister joined, so it's really a nice,
Oh, he clarified it. Can you be an OCR member without having a local chapter?
you can join any of the chapters that are nearby. We can find you a chapter that is closest to you. Um, so Gary, I'm not sure if I mean, David, I'm not sure if you're in the Ocala area because I know you go to Narcoossee. Um, there's several other chapters over that way we can get you hooked up to. If you go on the ocr.flscv.org, and at the bottom there's the application. Um, get that, get the name, send it in. We can get you a chapter closest to you. But no, that's what we try and do because to start a chapter, you have to have 7 people, and we want it to connect with an SCV camp so that everybody's in the same row of ducks, as I say. Thanks, David.
Yeah, I think yeah. Okay, Annette and Linda got them. Rambling Roses.
Right. Okay. There we go. I'm trying to remember that. Thank you, ladies. You got my back. See?
See, that's the thing about the SCV and the OCR is it, we do so much together.
Yep.
Uh, that's our women's side of the of the SCV. You know, we got Annette Lindsay. She's the
Past president.
past president.
Yep.
We have Linda Hudson in the chat. I'm a
Yep.
thorn. I think Jim's a thorn too.
Yes, Jim's a thorn of our new chapter in Sebastian, Florida, which is the Jacqueline Baker Devane chapter 22,
Ooh.
and it's connected with the First Florida Special Cavalry 1680 in Sebastian. So they were established this year.
Yeah.
So they're really happy and they're getting more. She's actually trying to do a get together ladies tea kind of thing to entice more women to come. So I'm hoping that it works out really well for her. And I'm told her I'd dress in my period dress so that she could see that, you can be in regular dress or you can be in a
Mhm.
period dress to have tea. Now, a lot of our events host a ladies' tea. So it's always Saturday between 10 and 11, and everybody's invited. You don't have to be an OCR member. It's open to the public, and we actually have a 1860s ladies' tea. So we really enjoy, showing the history. I say that, showing a basic hands-on gets a lot of message to people. If they see the material, they see, the courses, they see the underpinning. There's a whole world on that one. So that's a whole different story. Um, and then you have the other side of that you go and you can be in a booth to have show that you have, you know, entice members, not entice, but welcome new members and say, "Hey, look what I have here. We Do you like history, like heritage? Do you have any ancestors? Because we also have the United Orders of Confederacy also, and that is direct lineage. So to keep the history alive, and we enjoy every moment of it. And yeah, it can be a little hot because even in normal clothes, it's hot in Florida in different times.
Espe
Um,
especially if you're in the Black Rose Society, yeah.
yes. And well, April 26th is the National Confederate Memorial Day for state of Florida or United States. And we try and do a Confederate memorial close to that date. And what we are is we are the mourners of the um, soldiers that fell. And we wear a black weeds. Yes, it's called weeds, weeds. We have black veils, black hats. Everything's black from head to toe. And we go to the grave sites and we mourn our fallen soldiers. And our group on the East Coast, we go from Sebastian to Miami, and we honor 177 American Confederate soldiers at that. Um, and we say their name, we read their camp, we do a volley, we do a prayer, we put out flags. The weekend before or after that, we do Okeechobee, Fort Passenger, and Fort Drum, and we do 9 over there. So, and chapters and camps try and do this all over the United States in order to honor our Confederate veterans because they're not done on Veterans Day.
Yep.
So we enjoy doing that, and that's what this is. Let me see if I can get it closer here. To the right, to the right, to the right. This cockade here was made by Creative Cockades. It is the tartan that was designed by Linda O'Neill. It's usually the wool tartan is worn and it's draped over the shoulder. Well, I find it looks like it would get caught on things. So I wanted something a little simpler. So I asked Creative Cockades if she could get the tartan done in the Order of Black Rose. And she did. And she made 10 of them, but she has them on her site in order to order them if you'd like to order them. And she also did the Order Confederate Rose for Florida. So that was
Woo!
another O'Neill design. So you're able to have cockades, pretty soon I'm just going to have a whole band of just all the ones I have because they're just pretty,
Yeah.
and she does such a nice job. And we usually do different crafts for Our Lady's state reunion. Every year in June, the first weekend, we have a state reunion with the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Order of Confederate Rose. And we make what they call ditty bags. Each lady that registers gets a bag. Each chapter brings an item in to put into that bag, and it's a take home gift from the Florida Society in each chapter. So it's really some of the fun things we have at these events. But the Order Confederate Rose is a blessing. Because it um, it's everywhere, and same way the Sons of Confederate Veterans. The history and the heritage is phenomenal. And we're still fighting to keep our monuments. We're still fighting because that has been paid for from people from the late 1800s to early 1900s out of their own pockets to have those massive monuments built. And they're just knocking them down like they're a candy wrapper.
Yep.
And that's not fair for our heritage because that is honoring our veterans, our United States American Confederate veterans. They are the first ones of the United States to be approved as a veteran, and they got their pensions. So, why is it that everybody's trying to destroy that? Because here we have veterans. You're dishonoring, and if you dishonor a Confederate veteran, I still say you're dishonoring a Union veteran because they both fought against each other. A lot of them were brothers and uncles and cousins. So why are these people doing this? You know, but that's another story too, because my little hamster decided that it wanted to go that way. But yeah, the Order Confederate Rose. We have, like Annette Nim said, we have the Rambling Rose, which isn't connected to any chapters, but like it's $20 a year or $150 as a life member. As you can see, whoop, this pin over on this side is my life member pin. My um, name tag here has all my different positions and um, Rose of the Year, Chapter of the Year. So you don't have to have name tags, but we like them because if you go to an event, it shows that, hey, I know that logo. That's the Order Confederate Rose logo. And it's something to be proud of. And I want everybody as a family and as friends to have that same honor. So if we can get new members in, actually, I had given one of these cupcakes to my sister chapter, Betty, down in chapter one, and her guy friend, Jimmy Shirley, became a fan because, he just because of it. I'm like, if you want to have something with family, husbands, wife, children, this is an organization that is a family oriented. You can get your sisters in, you can get your uncles and aunts in. It's just amazing. And what else can I say? It's just amazing.
Yeah, yeah, just like I said before, guys and girls, not too many people, especially men, know that the OCR is there. Uh, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there because something's coming to my head, and I don't want to shoot myself. So if you like being around your wife all the time, and you want to go out to a cemetery, you want to, you know, if you guys like doing stuff together other than the marriage thing, we got the OCR. You guys can
Yep,
share something your spouse most
right.
likely loves.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing I noticed that, okay, if you have an SCV member that wife, girlfriend isn't able to drive, we have our meetings together. So we have it the same day and we break off in part of it after all the minutes and all the issues and whatever that needs to be said, we break off. The men talk and the women are in another section. So it's able to be there at the same time because if you have a ladies' meeting, the husband's like, oh, what I got to do? I have to wait on you. And there might not be any place next door, and there might not even be football season or race cars or whatever the guys are, not even a cigar bar. So it's able to get people together and to enjoy it because the guys can have their chat, they can talk their information, and the women do theirs in exchange. And sometimes we get together and we do sewing, we do knitting, crocheting, putting different things together for a ditty bag, or even for a bake sale, or any kind of sale, because you can go to different events. And but we were told that we can't have our battle flag at any of some of these events. But I wear my name tag proudly because it does have um the little let me get my hair out of the way, it's all in. But yeah, this here, it has the rose, and it has the battle flag in the background. But I wear it, and I even carry my purse into Cracker Barrel, and I don't have any problems with people, saying, "Ooh, that's great." But we've actually had people say something and says, "Well, this has never flown over a state capitol or any government. It was on the field." And it's like, which flag is racist? All the Florida flags were Confederate, and it's like, what, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. And I was like, okay, this is how, just be nice. But you can't change a closed-minded person. The best bet is say bless you and walk away, because there's no need for any fighting or violence or any, if you this is what we don't do. We're there to help with the information and to put it out there as a, you know, family friendly. And we just want to people to enjoy it, because I say the more the merrier, because we have a lot of members. And I'm sorry to say we've lost a lot of good members. But if we get our kids involved, our grandkids involved, they have that knowledge, and they're able to pass on history. Because I always say, if you want to know about your heritage, you got to talk to your elders, and that's the way you find it, because sometimes it's not in paperwork. You find out the little hellion my dad was. And I'm like, so it's like, that's how we learned. You talk to family, you get the stories, you get, how the town was, and would not believe the things that you find by talking to an elder, that we had all sorts of, even here in Fort Pierce, it's a history place. Lots of small towns are history. Yeah, there wasn't battles, there was a lot of skirmishes, but we had to keep our cattle and our food in order to feed the soldiers. So there was skirmishes all over, and we had a lot of big ones, and we had a lot of small ones, but we had a lot in the Seminole War too. But you just got to pass it on. Just got to keep it, as some of the guys say, flesh on the bones.
Yep.
And that's the perfect way of saying it, is tell the story. And if you do a third person persona, if you portray somebody, get into that character and just own it. There is actually a lady that does Rose Greenhow, which is one of our very big Confederate spies, and she does a beautiful job. She almost looks like Rose. And
Ooh.
yeah, Emily something, Lapperson, Laspardi, she has that third person down perfect. Well, look at Thomas Jesse with the General Lee,
Yeah.
and there's a gentleman that does Grant. So people get into these personas, and that's how we keep history. If
Yeah.
you like doing history, things like that. And I'm Mrs. Claus, okay? So uh so
Well,
Alan,
yeah, don't forget we got somebody in the channel that does Governor Milton.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is Brian Turner.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does
He's
Milton really well. He has that uniform down pat, and it really, really spiffy. So, it's one of those, if you want to do history talks and things like that, all you have to do is try it. You know, I portray my namesake Laura Radcliffe, and I did the talk at Narcoossee last year at
Yep.
the Ladies' Tea, and we had a good time at it. And there's so much that can be put out for information and correct information that we need out there. And we're hitting it step by step. And Kim Stevens has big shoes to fill with Miss Annette, but Kim's hitting the floor running and she's got it going. Um, she's the president currently of the Florida Society of Order Confederate Rose. And I tell you, it it's getting there. And she's hitting her ground running and it's going. So, yeah, like I said, on the ocr.fl, scv.org, there's the application. There's more information on that page. Apologize that our page hasn't been updated, but it will be. We're working on that. So um, join us. Join us as a Order Confederate Rose. Us Brother Thorn, our children as rosebuds and sister roses, because we really want to have our, family grow, and this would be a chance that you would have. And yeah, contact us. You can contact me, with no problem at all. I'm on Facebook. And my chapter is Order Confederate Rose, Laura Radcliffe, Chapter 19 on Facebook. Feel free to message me on there and we'll get you to the right place. We'll get you any information you need. There's books out there, there's ladies that write books, there's gentlemen that write books. Um, but we'll get you the person that you want to get a hold of, and we'd love for you to be with this family. So I'm
This
ready
crazy
to go.
family.
Well, at times, well, it's not like every family's perfect.
Well, this is true.
You
There's
know?
what there was one perfect man and he died on the cross.
Right. And he'll always be looking out for us. And
Exactly.
it's, we've been blessed. And to keep this history and heritage alive, yes, please.
To Lisa, is there any upcoming projects that the society doing?
Let's see, this is August. We have probably the events that we are doing. I know they had a raffle of a painting that's already been selected not too long ago.
Correct.
Um, I know we're always, working on getting the different events, because you have Otter Springs in January, you have Dade City in November or October. October. Dade City's October. Don't have too much in December because it's close to Christmas, except for December 3rd is the St. Cloud Ball over in St. Cloud, Florida.
Ooh.
7 Pounds Bacon is playing. And guys, if you have not heard this period correct band, they're called 7 Pounds of Bacon. And they're fun to dance with, to the music. But they're having a ball on December 3rd over there in St. Cloud. Um, the next year, we have January's Otter Springs. The end of January, that's Second Seminole. Then we have a couple in February. Then we have March, first part of March, we have one. The end of March, we have Narcoossee over in St. Cloud. And fortunately, this might be the last year in 2023 for Narcoossee. The property's being developed. But we're trying our best to get to the 2024 so that they can have their 30th anniversary. This year was 28, trying to squeeze into 30, and we're,
Mhm.
rooting on getting it to the 30 so we can have the big hurrah. But we can always find different venues to host it. Um, there's people with ranches that we could find a place to do this. Um, and we no longer have our raid on Fort Pierce here in Fort Pierce. The public schools don't do public field trips. Um, they hardly have any, but a lot of the schools don't do field trips because of the grants they got, and it's specific on what they can and can't do.
Yep.
But we had a great run on the raid on Fort Pierce. Went on for nearly 20 years, and but we just couldn't host it without the school kids on Friday, because that's one thing we really enjoy at these events is you host an event, you have Friday for school day for some, that you have private schools, you have homeschoolers, you have churches. They come and they bring all their students to see hands on what a cannon looks like, and what a rifle, and what a dress, and what tent, and how we slept, how we cooked. And because that there is another fun thing, which the one person you really want to get a lot of information for on that would be, we call him Archie. I call him the walking I call him the walking Google, because his real name is Marshall. I know it's Marshall something, but we call him Archie, and he's like I said, a walking Google. He knows every war, and he'll find the information for you, and he'll send it to me or send it to you and get that out there. But we also have our good friend and sister, Rose, Donna McPherson and Mary McPherson, which does genealogy. They um, they find families, their genealogy, and it works fabulous. They also, Mary is our historian, but Miss Donna is our grave finder.
Yes,
Yes,
she is.
she is the most powerful woman I've ever seen to get out in these cemeteries and find our lost veterans. And she has gotten veterans headstones for these gentlemen, and it's an honor for her to put so much effort in this, because that's hard work. And she has a massive library. I tell you, if you want a nice library, you go to her house and you look at that filing system, because oh my goodness, I was just in awe for that. But yeah, she had what, 500-600 this last time we talked to her,
Yes.
um, and got headstones, and now housed into a garage right at the moment to be set out. And you guys have been wonderful going out and setting up these new headstones for these gentlemen that have been lost for a long time.
Yeah, she's currently helping me out with one. I found his mustard sheet. He's after the war he became a reverend. It's the one you tried to help me out with the Brown Cemetery in Immokalee.
Right.
I made a contact. So we've already been in there cleaning. Uh, right now, I'm in the process of following a chain right now. So somebody gave me a name of another person. That person gave me a name of another person that's a direct descendant of Reverend Carlson. His headstone's damaged, and it looked like it was somebody tried to repair it at one time. I talked to Donna. I sent her a picture. She
Okay.
goes,
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
"Yeah." She goes, "Send me everything you got." So I sent her the picture. I found his mustard sheet. She goes, "Good. Uh, it is damaged. It's not repairable. All I need to do is get a letter from a kinfolk of his, and she believes I can get it get it replaced from the VA.
Yay! See, this is, and if people really don't realize what we're talking about with these headstones, um, Sean and a great group, including myself, we are CERT team members. It's the Cemetery Emergency Repair Training.
It, it's sir is
Correcting.
Confederate Emergency Response Team.
That's it, Confederate. See, I need to read up more because I'm a member and I know how to do this, but I'm still got 3 hours left on my training. So I want to make sure I get my training in so that, but we go to headstones that are Confederate and we get permission to clean the lichen off of them and we get them looking close to new and look taken care of because there's so many that aren't soldiers and there's family members that aren't there to take care, but families can say, I give you consent to go to this headstone and clean it for my family. And we have the, it's like when you clean it, you're looking at I don't know, I can't describe it because you see this brown, black, dingy headstone that hasn't been touched in maybe 100 years. And
Uh,
all
yeah,
of a sudden you see them, that they're nice. So,
oh
and that's,
yeah,
yeah. And, but Sean had a wonderful program. Um, Tom
actually,
Meadows, um,
actually, it's not my program.
it's Tom Meadows.
Tom
Hmm.
Meadows and
Yep.
his wife is the Tennessee Division
Yep.
president of the Order of the Confederate Rose.
Right.
And I
Um,
want to give a shout out because my mouth just dropped. Our commander in chief of Sons of Confederate Veterans is in the chat. Thank you, Jason Boshears, for joining.
oh, welcome aboard. Thank you for being here and seeing this. But I don't know how much you got to see, sir, but welcome aboard. Hi from Fort Pierce, Florida. I am the president of Laura Radcliffe Chapter 19. My Sons of Confederate camp is Private George W. Thomas. Um, Camp 1595, Jim Odell is the commander, and he's the 12th Brigade commander also.
Yep.
So we welcome you aboard, and we're we're hoping that we get more family members in for the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Order of Confederate Rose because it is history, it's heritage. We need it to be prosperous. We need our families and we need people to belong to this family. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing to get involved with. And but the Order of Confederate Rose, like I said, started in Alabama in 1993, and Miss Linda McNeil, rest in peace, started in February of 2002 here in Florida. So she actually designed the. I keep forgetting this is backwards. She designed the Black Rose tartan and the Order of Confederate Rose tartan in order to have it displayed to say, hey, where'd that come from? And what does that mean? So you're able to say, hi, I belong to the Black Rose Society and I am a Order of Confederate Rose member. So it works out. I mean, we have each other's back. We work together. We help each other out. Um, it's it's a second family. And if you really want to see um, it's feel free to come to one of our meetings. Get a
Yeah.
hold of us. You can come to a meeting. You don't have to sign up. You can just listen to what we have. You can see the heritage. We just had a talk from one of our SEV members, Vernon Beatty, from the Camp 1595. He talked about his family, the Caudell family. He has the prisoner of war medallion. He has pictures of his cemetery headstone. He has the flag. Actually, his house is a walk-in museum for his family. He has a beautiful home with, I mean, he has wall displays, and those wall displays he takes off and he brings to events to show it off, to say, "This is my family."
Yep.
And it's nice to know. I don't have any lineage. My heritage is from Scotland and Holland. They were indentured servants, but I love history. I've been a member for 9 years. I've been a lifetime member for, I think, for that. Um, and I just want people to enjoy this family. And like I said, we have each other's backs. Guys ask for help, and anybody, if I ever call and say, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" I've got something big planned. So, uh,
And
ask Jim Odell and a few others. I'll call them up and say, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" "Well, we're going to this event because they need help."
yeah,
And it's we're there. We're there to show off accoutrements. We're show off ladies' items. That I have a display that I have 10 types. I have the chainmail coin purse off of Chantilly. Um, I've inherited a lot of, and I found a lot of them in thrift stores, and they're
mm,
beautiful to show off. And that's how you get it out there. You have people see it, and they get interested. And here's a funny story. We did Miami River Days with Fred Parks down in Miami at
yeah.
the original fort. Well, it's actually the Navy barracks. Miami was actually wasn't supposed to be called that. It was supposed to be called Fort Dallas because it's the Fort Dallas Navy base at barracks down there.
Mhm.
And because Miss Tuttle was the first homesteader, she named it after it's a real long Thai Miami Indians. I know it's longer than that, but I call it the Thai Miami. But she was able to claim it as Miami. So we were down there doing a living history, and we were all sitting on the porch. I was embroidering a lace fichu, and the guys were shining up their guns, and they were doing different things so people can see. Well, I hear in the background, because the windows were open, and I hear these two little girls going, "Man, it's boring in here. Why did mom bring us here?" I'm like, "Okay, here we go." But now I went to work, and I got up. I got my dress all tightened up. And I went in. I said, "Hi, welcome to Mrs. Tuttle's home. I am Mrs. Tuttle. This is my kitchen. Do you know what these items are that I cook with?" They're like, "No." I said, "Well, this one here I can tell you a little bit about." And I said, "Have you seen the cartoon movie Tangled, where Rapunzel hits the guy with this frying pan?" They're like, "Yeah." So I get the cast iron skillet off the wall and I hand it to them. All of a sudden, their hands drop and they're like, "Oh my God, that's heavy." I'm like, "Well, can you imagine how that hurt when she hit him in the head?" And they're like, "Oh, wow." I said, "See, just seeing that they didn't really make a loud tink sound, but if you actually hit somebody with that, it'd probably kill them." So I always say, I know I have plenty in my kitchen to throw and to hurt you with. I don't need a gun. I can get you with my kitchen items. So I put it back on there and I can, hear them. And I asked if they needed something else. And one of them was taking a picture and they were Googling it, and they were finding out the different items. Well, now they're interested in history and when these items came to be, and where, who designed them, and all this. So that was two more kids that was changed around just by one little story and touching an item. And same way with anything, if you show them a book, or if you show something that that's in a book that really catches their attention, there you go. You have history to be passed on. And yes, it wasn't Tangled movie wasn't a period correct movie, but it did have the period correct product. So it really, and then they can look up when a cast iron skillet was designed, who made it, where it was used. So there's a little bit of history right there. And when they see the guys' guns out there, the boys are like, "Oh boy, we can do this." I actually, when we our second to last raid on Fort Pierce, the local sheriff's department had their roll call right there in our parking lot where we were set up. And when they got done, I'm like, "Well, you boys got to hurry." And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, you want to shoot black powder?" And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on over." So I got a couple of the guys to get black powder ready, and they showed them how to do it, and they fired, and they all like, "Oh," they were so geeky. I said, don't tell the sheriff or your, commander, because you might get in trouble." I said, "But you can tell them I talked you into it." So, but they had a good time because they got to hear the black powder go off, and they got to hold the rifle and the musket and see the little paper cartridge with the black powder in it. And we showed them how we make it, and they were interested. So we actually had kids that wanted to be powder monkeys for the cannon, flag bearers to carry the flag out onto the field. We actually even have women that reenact as men. And if you don't know that, there was over 400 women that fought as men during our American Civil War, the war against the states. They didn't own any land back in the 1800s. They didn't have the rights that we do now. And so when their husbands died, they had to either become laundress, seamstress, or a soldier. So, like a few famous of the women, there's Loretta Vasquez. She was Cuban. She married a Georgia gentleman, had two children. The two children died of diseases while her husband was out fighting the war. He died soon after. She had no place to go. You didn't own anything. You were not protected. So, in order to take and be that way, she put on her husband's other uniform and she fought 4 times during the war as a man. And then there was Jenny Hodges. There was a Union soldier, which was black. Her name was Cathay Williams, and her soldier name was William Cathay. She was a Buffalo soldier, and she fought alongside men as a man. So you have to adapt how you need to, do in life. But um, Laura Radcliffe, Rose Greenhow, quite a few others were Confederate spies. And the way they got information back and forth, Laura Radcliffe was friends of Mosby. So she would take and gather information. She'd take a basket and she'd go through and "I'm looking for my brother. May I go through and look for him?" And they're like, "Well," I said, "Well, I have apples to trade. I have handkerchiefs to trade. Can we trade something and I can go look for my brother?" And while they're doing that, she says, "Wow, there's not that many men here. How am I supposed to be protected?" There, "Oh, well, we have several hundred over in the field over there that behind the trees." So she would think that, and she would take the information, and then she would actually take and put all that on a piece of paper, but sew it into her hoop skirt and petticoat because a woman of that time was not allowed to be touched. Only their baskets and their hair and their hats were able to be looked at because it was actually taboo to touch a woman back then. And so they were able to get messages back and forth. Miss Rose Greenhow, fortunately, she was caught 4 times, and she was actually went to prison. Well, when a woman went to prison back there, the children did too. So there's pictures of Rose Greenhow with her daughter on the outside of prison because there was nobody to care for the children. So they went to prison too. But why she died, she had got commissioned to go over to Europe and get gold and information over there. And on her way back, the Union ship was just off the bow. And she says, "If I get caught again, um, they're gonna hang me. Can I get a boat and a few men to take me to shore?" and they had granted that to her. They got her onto the boat, and the guys, and they were rowing in, but the wake of the big boat capsized them. The men made it to shore, and she sank because her petticoat and her hoop was so full of gold and messages that when they got her exhumed out of the water, um, because cotton, if it gets wet, it's hard to untie. You can't cut it. But because of the gold, she had drowned, and but she had gotten valuable information out. And there's just so much history, and you just where to get started. And I
Well, we've been at this for an hour. Type in the chat if you want to keep going with the discussion.
I tell you, an hour's gone by quickly. I didn't even think, you know. But in high school, they used to call me Jabberjaw. So, if you need to talk to me more, I can. That little hamster will get rolling, and we can get more done. Um, but
I'm guilty of that too.
the nice thing is to get, I want to get more into this family. It's roses, the men are thorns, the children are rosebuds, and we just have a great time. And we had a new one of our chapter 5 get reestablished this year at
Ooh,
the state reunion, and that was the two young ladies that were at the national ball. The debutante Miss Tori, and
ooh,
she got sent out very beautifully. So we have, that chapter reestablished, and we have a few that, we want to keep going. So if, men can be lifetime members of that chapter, and that will keep that chapter alive. As long as 7 members is a lifetime member, that chapter would never go away.
correct.
So it would stay on the books. Same way with a camp. Camp's the same way. If you have that many lifetime members, that chapter in that camp, will be there as long as the organizations. And that's what I'm hoping for. I
Yeah.
have grandchildren that want to, they're in South Carolina, but my grandchildren, they enjoy it. They talk to me all the time about it. When you coming up? When we dressing up and going? And I'm like, well, if we find an event when I come up on vacation, then we'll, see what we can find. If not, we'll just dress up and walk around town. Because
Well,
St. Augustine actually does a saunter during their events. Different nights, they have people that dress up and just stroll through town and
mhm.
act like they're in the 1800s or whatever period they're doing, whatever their persona is, and they saunter through and they have a great time and people take pictures. I don't know how many pictures I got taken, but I enjoy it, because people really want to see, you know, c- sometimes, you
Yeah,
never,
they do the same thing in Charleston and at Gettysburg.
yeah, that's on my bucket list to get to Gettysburg. But really, there's Annette Lindsay, there's Donna McPherson, there's Kim Stevens, there's Kathy King, there's Sandra Coyle, there's Becky Grimmer, um, myself, Mary McPherson. Any of them, just get a hold of one of us. We will be happy, and we'll get every information that we can to you. And we'd love to have you as a second family.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And if you can't get a hold of Talisa, Lynette Lindsay's in the chat.
there we
So
go. Hi, lady.
her and Linda's been holding on strong tonight.
Oh, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Annette. I'm just really, thank you for inviting me on. Thank you, Linda, for saying, "Hey, guess what?" she, I'm not the only one that says, "What are you doing this weekend?" She says, "What are you doing Tuesday?" So, but yeah,
Yep.
there's so many different things to talk about. Kathy King would be great to talk about the legacy program. Um, Annette would be great for the Sam Davis camp.
Mhm.
So there's all sorts. Gail Jesse for the Black Rose Society. So we have a lot of ladies that can, take and get some more information if you want. They'll be great on the podcast. We can get one of them on, or a couple of them. Have
Yeah.
a have a free for all. So, but I really enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people that have work tomorrow, and I got to clean the Airbnb tomorrow. So,
Well,
and I
you,
really enjoyed it. Anything else that I didn't cover, Annette or Linda?
well, I do want to give a shout out because we got another rock star in the channel. We have our Florida Division Commander, Calvin Hart.
Hey, Calvin, nice to see you.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show, Calvin.
Welcome, welcome. So, but yeah, the Order of Confederate Rose is non-lineage, and like I said, it's $20 a year, and it's $150 for lifetime members. You get a certificate, and this I can't believe I keep doing this little pin here for the life member. Um, they Men can join as thorns. The children can join as rosebuds.
Mhm.
We really want to have you as an addition to our families. And this is the great second family. We have each
Oh
other,
yeah.
and it's a lot of fun, and a lot of good history. And we want to keep the heritage and the history alive. And like I said before, I have no lineage to any of the veterans that I know of. I still have to have my genealogy finished, but my ancestors are from Holland and Scotland. They were indentured servants, but they that I know of, they didn't fight. I know the President Woodrow Wilson side did. When they came over from Scotland, they had the single L. But when my family Wilson came from Scotland, we had two L's, and we changed it to one when we arrived to come migrate down from our indentured servant servitude is what. So, um, but yeah, the Sam Davis camp is great for the kids to find information and to participate and join. The legacy program is wonderful. The Order of Confederate Rose, we do bake sales, um, donations, raffles. Becky Grimmer and the girls, they did a beautiful painting raffle that was already claimed, and they had a winner on that. Um, they had one of the SEV camps, and their chapter had a pistol at the state reunion. I got my raffle ticket on that. I was like, maybe some of my luck. Daryl Rattree,
Yep.
and he had that, and that thing was beautiful. Um,
Well, Talisa, you just got a an attaboy from our commander in chief's wife, Linda Boshears. Says
oh,
thank
thank you. And
thanks for sharing the OCR history.
yeah, and we really enjoy keeping that history alive. And Linda O'Neill, even though she's not with us, she's always on our minds. She's always, that she's the one that started Florida, and she was one of the past presidents of the Florida Society. Um, so everything we do is to honor our past OCR sisters that have gone. We praise our ones that we have here, and we just keep everybody going. And if the guys call up and say, "Hey, we need extra hands," hey, count me in. If I don't have an Airbnb to clean, I'll be there. So,
Talisa,
yeah.
I had a question. May God rest her soul, but what part did Sylvia Darby play in the Florida OCR?
Sylvia Darby is our past Florida president. She handed down her reign down to Annette Lindsay.
Oh,
So
okay.
Annette Lindsay was um, tutored by Sylvia Darby. So yeah, it's and then wonderful that they have that. And I my heart goes out to Jim because he lost his wife and his daughter in one of
Oh, I knew about Sylvia, but I didn't know about his
yeah,
daughter. I'm sorry to hear that.
very so I tell you, it's but Jim, I always think of him, and I'm going to see if we can send a card to see how he's doing. Say, hey, keep up good chin, because we're
Yeah.
thinking of you. Because to lose both of them in not too long of time apart is really hard.
Yep.
We just lost Judy Davis too.
Yeah,
So
just recently too.
yeah, so that's hard. So if people I'm going to go on a different subject right at the moment, but keep up your health, people. I mean, take it from somebody that just had a bout with medication problem. I nearly had a stroke Wednesday.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, so I'm back on more medication and a little bit higher. And I'm also working with a chiropractor to help with some of my high blood pressure. But yeah, it's nothing to play around with. High blood pressure and heart disease will get you. And I thought I had just had a cold and found out that my blood pressure was 175 over 93.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so
Jim, take care of her.
my best friend Jim. Jim and I have been friends. I've known him since we were 9 years old. Jim Odell, the commander of 1595. I've known him since I was 9 years old. We went to private school together. We went to public school together. We were in art club. He went in the Navy. I married and had children. His nephew Alan which is Mr. Claus. He went in the Navy also. So we're all friends. We've known each other, went to school. So it's like I said, family,
Yeah.
because we've known each other and grew up together. So he's my best friend. Um, he, hey, he's probably saying, "Oh, shut up,"
Yeah, probably so.
because yeah. And Jim's there for people if you need information. Jim Odell, um, and everybody. I mean, you can get a hold literally of any one of the SCV OCRs, and we'll get you the right information because this history and heritage, the Order Confederate Rose. Yes, we've only been since '93 for Alabama, 2002 for us. But the history and heritage, we need to keep these men proud and up front because they are the first American Confederate veterans, the very first veterans. And we need to keep their history alive. And um, I don't know if you ever remember when they did the wristbands for the missing POWs back in the Vietnam kind of era, where you had a metal wristband that had their name on it to memorize them. You know,
Oh yeah.
I wonder if there was something that we can do that if there's some way of getting either name tags or a bracelet or a keychain done with a Confederate veteran's name.
Yeah,
And
funny you should say that, and I remember seeing it in the Confederate Veteran, the SCV magazine, but I haven't seen it recently.
yeah,
Jason Boshiers, correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody in the chat, but there was a camp that was doing MIA, Confederate MIA and POW medals.
right.
And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen. I don't know if that camp's doing it anymore. I haven't seen
Yeah.
anything in the Confederate veteran since.
Well, not every veteran was a POW. Like George W. Thomas, that our namesake for the SCV camp here.
Mhm.
He fought in the war, but he came back to Fort Pierce. He wasn't even from here. He became a cobbler, and he lived until 97 years old, and he's buried in Riverview Cemetery here in Fort Pierce. And he wasn't a POW. He, died of ripe old age after, doing all the work on shoes.
Yeah.
So I would think just any of the veterans that have a name with a birth date and a death date, or even not, just a name, and see, have people carry them, so that we can keep their name alive.
Yeah.
And then they can, say, hey, they're buried in um over in Green Lawn Cemetery or Fort Pierce, any of those, because they're all over the world, United States. So if each, state has theirs done, I don't know how much the bracelets would cost, but they don't look like they're very thick, and they're just engraved on them, and you bend them to whatever shape your wrist is, and there you go. You are keeping one veteran, or if you have two of them, keychains will be fabulous because you can put several on a keychain, and you can say, okay, he's buried here, he's buried there. We honor, all of them, but we're keeping their memory alive by, saying, hey, I have this. And
Well, yeah, I know a guy that's in the Tennessee Division Mechanized Cavalry. He does patches of tombstones, and you can get your ancestor's name on it.
wow, that is cool. But
Yeah,
it'd be nice too to have somebody that might not have family still around, because sometimes, like a lot of diaries and a lot of paperwork have been thrown out by fourth and fifth generations of families. Like, I don't want this paperwork. I don't want, they're technology people. They don't want this, so they don't get it to wherever it's supposed to go, so they just throw it away.
yeah.
So that's just like some of the diaries of some of the generals that are just getting published because some family member decided that they wanted to throw it out, and another family member says, "Oh, let's see if this organization wants it." So there's so many. That's
Funny you should talk about diaries. I've been on the hunt for this book forever. It's based on Captain James McFall and his brother William. It's The book is based on their war correspondence, and I finally found it available. So I just bought it like 2 days ago on eBay. So when that comes in the mail, I'm going to talk about
nice.
it.
And
Yeah,
see, but like everybody has, at least one. But since I don't have any lineage, that would be, just pick a name and say, hey,
yeah.
let me honor this person as a non-family member, but I still want to keep their heritage alive just by talking about them. And because we have so many, like in our cemetery, Fern Hill down in Stewart. If I said that right, I'm trying to remember. But in Stewart, we were looking for 7 soldiers there, and we couldn't find them. So we asked the sexton, which is the one that takes care of the cemetery, and one of the groundskeepers says, yeah, he says, I know where they're at. They're in the older section. He actually took a bulldozer and he bulldozed back the old and all the trees as back as far as he could. And he actually plotted it out for us so we can get a headstone and everything put on that. So,
Cool.
and there was no family members. We couldn't find any family members to say, hey, can we do, but the cemetery said, yes, that's the older section of the cemetery. Yes, we will get the headstones and we'll get, the plots up. They had little flags. So all you have to do is ask, it's a 50-50 chance to say, no, you can't. Well, we have one cemetery that, since it's privately owned, it's not allowed to be photographed. You can't take a picture of any of this headstones in that cemetery. And
That's weird, but okay.
name it Jim Odell. And so, but then there's some that doesn't even have a headstone. And just like we did over in Orlando at that one, everybody pitched in and you guys raised that one.
Yep.
I mean, that thing was what, 2.5 feet tall, But all
something
you
like
need.
yeah, it was actually half a foot above ground, and the rest of it was down in the ground.
Yeah, and
Yep.
when they unearthed it and cleaned it and put it in place, it was the original size, so people just thought it was a broke piece sitting there,
Yeah.
and so there's so many families out there that, haven't looked up their ancestors, and all I can say is go for it. What do you have to lose? Look
Exactly.
look up your heritage.
Yeah.
Look up the history. Talk to your aunts and uncles, and I don't have any of those anymore. My last aunt passed away 4 months ago, and so my dad had 12 siblings, and my mom had 9 siblings, and my aunt was the last one on my dad's side. So there's nothing that I can, go to unless I can get to the family Bible because that was one of the main records of any family is the family Bible.
Hmm.
If you have the family Bible, it has birth dates, marriages, death dates, fights between families, and that's the. But my dad's side of the family is with one of my cousins that I briefly met him when he was maybe 7, 8 years old, and I haven't talked to him since
Yeah.
because that was on that side of the family that um, family reunions didn't happen anymore. And we used to have family reunions that were 300 plus people there in Sanford, Florida, and DeLand. And then it ended up getting smaller, and we ended up having it at my family's yard. And so the family Bible is one of the best resources that people can find their heritage. So
Yep.
if you have an elder in your family that might know any of these stories, get them to talk about it. Get them to
Well,
talk about the names.
funny you should say that, Talisa. 2 years ago, my grandmother passed away.
Mm.
So I had to go up to Ohio. Well, I was sitting there with my grandfather died when I was about 4 or 5 years old, so I didn't really get to know him. But I got to know him through his brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
and it's funny you should talk about that because as me and my aunts and uncles and cousins were all sitting around, a conversation came up on my great grandfather's dad and mom. And I'm like,
Right.
I said, who's that? They go, Sean, you've been to the cemetery. Remember seeing the one that says Chrissy McFall? Like, yeah. Oh, then it dawned on me.
Yeah. I mean, just like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I have cousins that are trying to get more information for their grandkids and great grandkids so that they can keep the family going to know where this one was born and where this one lived um and it's fabulous that some of the things that our ancestors have done, um from small things to large things, and to change people's lives of just what they say, because I know when my dad was alive, he worked for 7-Eleven back in the 70s.
Ooh.
And one of the coworkers came and says, "Hey, one of the pharmacy guys says he'll send me to school and train me to be a pharmacist, but I'm going to stay here with 7-Eleven." My dad says, "Get out that door and go get that class." And now he owns his own pharmacy and several buildings and property.
Ooh.
And it's one of those things that, yeah, 7-Eleven was great at the time. They're still pretty good in some areas, but at the time, some of the stores were having to be sold because one of the guys that retired, they didn't have enough money to pay him for his retirement. So they had to shut several stores down in order to pay him. So that's hard. Same way with MacArthur Milk. MacArthur Milk pulled out of Fort Pierce because they had to pay several people that retired.
I was wondering about that because I went by their farm over by Okeechobee
Yeah.
City, and it doesn't have their name on it anymore.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to cough.
That's all right.
Yeah, they had several employees that had to retire, that was retiring age. and it just wasn't feasible to truck the milk out of Fort Pierce because most of it wasn't processed here anymore. Um, so they closed down that facility, and a lot of the workers had to find other MacArthur's to work at. So yeah, that's like a lot of companies. We just found out that Tropicana is pulling out of Fort Pierce.
What?
Yeah, Tropicana is moving to Bradenton.
Holy
Um,
Tropicana! I mean, I
mhm,
I'm glad they're not shutting down and leaving the state of Florida, but
right.
I remember as a kid going up 27 to
Yeah.
I-4, and they had their plant right there on the east side of the road, and they used to do tours. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I know the plant's still there because it's the only citrus processing plant. Because
Hmm.
I do the pest control at one right now outside of Clewiston, and that one's in the process of being shut down.
Right. And they're just bringing it all to Bradenton. Looks like they're going to ship out of Tampa and get their oranges in through Tampa because they were getting oranges in through Fort Pierce, but we don't have that port for them to come in because we have a big yacht repair company that owns the port now. So they're repairing mega yachts here. and But yeah, we used to have a small company called Tree Sweet here in Fort Pierce that processed the everything. My dad was a citrus inspector when I was young, so
Mhm.
he would go into these different packing houses and fruit plants, the processing plants, and check for the acidity of the oranges. And yeah, he would say, "Yep, they're right. Put them up, gas them up, let them go." you know. And I still have his tube that he used to use to test it. I still have that tube, and it
Oh,
was
that's
a
cool.
6-inch, 7-inch glass tube, and he would put it into a beaker with some chemicals, and if it turned a bright pink, the acidity was fabulous and it was ready to go. And packing house was on the run to color them, pack them, and ship them out. And so that's just like Hale Grove there in Vero. They went to a smaller building, and so yeah, it's signs of times, just like the pineapples, you know. So, because Florida was one of the biggest pineapple plantations for a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, the one industry that's not going away, and I don't see any signs of it slowing down, is beef.
uh, yeah, it's slowing down a little bit because they changed the agriculture tax in Florida.
That got to be. Let me put this out there again, guys, because I know I'm gonna. There you go. Is that because our Department of Ag lady?
I'm not sure, but my view is that a lot of the small cattle ranchers have had to sell because they couldn't pay the taxes because they didn't have that agriculture tax break. And so I know quite a few ranchers. Um, right now, Adams Ranch is doing very well because they have their own cuts of beef at
Oh, cool.
restaurants and stores, and they're actually online for their beautiful Brangus beef. Um,
Ooh.
so yeah, it's some of the smaller ones are having problems with that, but like I said, there's other things that you don't have people learning the industries. That's hard work. Citrus is hard work.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So if you don't have, same way we're repairing boats, they don't have that many people that know how to repair a boat in order for it, or they just order a new one and put that one in the junkyard. They don't have people that do, because you don't have, just like our oil, don't have the young ones to teach in order to run those. So when our older ones are gone, that that little bit, just like a cobbler making shoes.
Yep. All right, Talisa, we're running out of time.
Yeah, 9:30. Wow, this is this is
I
running.
know this is an hour and a half show.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for letting me babble on. And really, if you want a good family oriented organization, we're non political, we're non racial,
Mhm.
we're nonprofit. So join this family. Come in and just have our hearts open to you, to everything. We have your back. We lift you up. We try and help out wherever we can. And this is one of the greatest organizations that I have come across. And I tell you, if you want fun, you want a little chaos, come and join us on, like I said, Order Confederate Rose. We are non-lineage, and it's $20 a year. It's $150 for a lifetime member. And please join us and have a great time. Um, Thank you, Sean, for having me on. Thank you
You're
guys for
welcome.
letting me babble on and keep up with different things and hamster go off the wheel here, in different ways.
Hey, it
Yeah,
was a good show because I could tell by the community the way that discussions would go along. People ask a
oh, that's great.
question, and that so it was a great show. Every time when the audience engages, I know it's a good show.
Well, that's what
Well,
I like too, and I thank
yeah,
everybody for watching. Um, Enjoy the rest of the evening. And like I said, get a hold of one of us. We'll be happy to have you join our family. Come to one of our meetings. We are my organization chapter is the Laura Radcliffe. We meet at Golden Corral the third Thursday of every month. We start at 6 o'clock to eat. We have the main room. You're more than welcome to join us. The Sebastian Camp is the third Wednesday of the month at Woody's Barbecue. Sometimes they have it at private homes, depending on how many people they have. So you're more than welcome. Get a hold of somebody. We'll get you to one of these meetings and let you see what we do, let you see the fun that we have. And welcome aboard to you too. And thank you and have a good night.
all
Thank
right,
you.
Talisa,
I
thank
appreciate
you for
it.
coming on tonight and let it. You know, that's why I wanted somebody with the OCR to come on, is because we have a lot of men in the SCV that have girlfriends, wives, daughters, stuff like that. Give
Right.
them,
And
provide them the information to say, hey, I love the SCV so much. My wife
that's
thinks I'm not. My wife may think I'm nuts. Let's get the
oh,
kids involved.
right, because they're the ones that are going to help carry on this. They're the ones that are going to follow in our footsteps to have this. And I know a lot of wives that support their husbands when they do this. Hey, get out of here for the weekend. Go to a reenactment. So go to a meeting. But yeah, like I said, I know a lot of ladies, and I know a lot of gentlemen that don't belong, even though their wife does. But everybody has their hobbies. Everybody has their life. Um, just find a little niche and let us in.
Exactly.
you
Well,
know.
Talisa, thank you for coming on the show tonight. A
Thanks,
great,
guys.
great show tonight. I hope everybody had fun. If you have any questions on the OCR, there's a link on our Facebook page on their website. Like Talisa said earlier, it is not up to date, but the information there is so on who to
Right,
get a hold of, like
right.
Lynette
All
Lindsay.
the names,
Uh,
all the information, you can still
yep,
go hold of with because that is still current information. It's just that Annette Lindsay is now our past president. I'm the past historian.
yep.
So we have a few of the officer changes, but all the information and the numbers, you can get a hold of us and get a hold of an SCV member. Hey, I see you have a flag. Are you a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans? Hey, how do I join? How do I get a hold of so and so? We'll
Yeah,
get you the right person. Good night, guys.
exactly. All right,
Thanks.
Talisa.
All right.
Thank you.
Mwah. Thank you.
Uh,
Good night.
rock on. Have a good night. All righty. Sorry about the Lisa, but I put you in the background. Guys, thank you for joining tonight. It's been one hell of a show. So I'm going to end the show with Faces of the SCV. Uh, till next Tuesday, stay Southern and have a good night.
My dad told me he always had a kinship to the battle flag. Always growing up, he knew there was something there, but he couldn't put it together. I called my 97-year-old grandmother, and I asked her, do we have any soldiers in the family? I gave her 3 descriptions. Verde, which means green, for modern-day soldier. Blue, azul, or gris, means gray. And she said, mijo, which means my son in Spanish, is gris. It was gray. My great-great-grandfather was named Andres Torres Rodriguez. He was born in Mexico. He was a laborer. And he was in 8th Texas Infantry, and his unit later on got incorporated to the Texas 33rd Cavalry under Santos Benavides, who was the highest Mexican-American Confederate officer. He was a colonel. There was over 13,000 Hispanic soldiers throughout the Confederate States, but out of those 13,000 were 2,500 Tejanos. And it's 2 words combined. Texas in Spanish is Tejas. Mexican in Spanish, Mexicano. You combine both words, Tejano. They contributed a lot for Southern independence. I think that they deserve respect, honor, and dignity under the Confederate flag that they fought for. There was people of color, Mexican people, and other Hispanics, and other people of color that fought in this war. Everyone's reason was different, but primarily they fought in this war for their independence and to protect their homeland. I joined the SCV because I'm extremely proud of my Confederate heritage. I have Confederate DNA. I just want to ensure that the present generation and future generations know and never forget the contributions of Hispanics in the War of Northern Aggression. I am Richard Luna Garcia, the great-great-grandson of Private Andres Torres Rodriguez, a Tejano Confederate soldier.
All right. I didn't know I was going to kick back on. Have a good night, gentlemen. Stay Southern.